I just wanna I just wanna make a note because I just fucking found this out. Anyways, I made it seem like in the video that What's His Face is the second Colleen Hoover adaptation. It is not. Regretting You is the second Colleen Hoover adaptation. Reminders of Him is third. There is more coming out. Verity is also coming out. It's an epidemic. It needs to be stopped. What is happening? I'm scared November 9 is gonna... Anyways, I just wanted to clarify that this is not the second. It is the third, nor is it the last. Anyways, enjoy the video. Guys, Colleen Hoover is back at it again. She's back at it again, and I'm not exactly sure why we keep adapting her books into movies. Like, I know these are her most, like, popular pieces of fiction, but it's just, like, what are we doing? First, so I can't even fucking speak because I'm so, like, bewildered. But first, it ends with us. Now, it's this. And it's just a little bit, it's upsetting because these books were not even good. Why do they need to become movies? I don't know. 2 days ago, I was taking out my hair and I was watching YouTube, as one does, while they were taking out their hair. And I saw this trailer for a movie and it looked really good. And I was like, oh my God, this movie looks so good, right? Because the beginning of it was amazing, like the song choice, the cinematography, like I was like, this looks really interesting. And then it kept on going. And as I continued to watch the trailer, I got more and more confused as what the fuck was going on. And then I saw Colleen Hoover's fuck ass name and I was like, that makes sense. By the end of that movie trailer, I had so many critiques. And y'all, to have so many like issues with a movie trailer without even seeing the movie is diabolical. So I want to start off with a little bit of backstory. The movie is called Reminders of Him and it's starring Tyreek Withers. He was, you know, the main character in the movie Him that like just came out. That was really big for reasons. It's starring him, Rudy Pankow, I don't know how to say his last name, and Maika Monroe. I don't know if I said her name right. Those are the main characters. And Reminders of Him is marketed as a romance. And I think that's already my first issue off the bat with it. Why is it marketed as a romance? It shouldn't be. And that's a lot of the issues with it. Seems to be a reoccurring issue with Colleen Hoover's pieces of like media, whether it's film or literature. Like what ends with us, it was marketed as a romance, but it was a very dark story, and a lot of people had issues with why it was marketed so like whimsically and like all of this like lovey-dovey, like very romantic when it's talking about very dark issues. And that's my same issue with Reminders of Him off the bat, like without even seeing the movie. So now let's get into like the actual nitty-gritty. So basically the book is about this girl named Kenna Rowan. She goes to prison because she was driving intoxicated with her boyfriend, who was also intoxicated, and they crashed the car, and she ended up getting out, but she assumed that he was dead, and so she went home, but he was not dead, and so she went to jail because she didn't defend herself, right? Because she felt guilty about killing him, basically, but she didn't really kill him. So she ended up going to jail for involuntary manslaughter. Then when she comes out of jail, she wants to like find her daughter because she ended up getting pregnant in jail, but then they took the baby and it was put under the care of her boyfriend's like parents. And so yeah, she just wanted to see her daughter, which makes sense. And then she ends up falling in love with her dead ex-boyfriend's best friend, and that's the crux of the book. It seems as how the trailer looks and the description is the crux of the movie as well. It doesn't seem like they've changed much. Okay, so first off the bat, before you even like click on the trailer, if you just look at the marketing of this movie is marketed as a romance. Like the cover art is her and Tyreek or Ledger. disgusting name. The cover art is Kenna and Ledger kissing or like them together. That is like the cover art, that is the draw, and it's literally listed as a romance. But before you even watch the trailer, it's marketed as a romance, right? So all you can see is that there's these two people, Kenna and Ledger, on the cover art. They're kissing or they're together or whatever. You see the title, Reminders of Him, and then you see the cover art of these two people, Kenna and Ledger. And so you're thinking, oh, okay, Reminders of Him. That seems like it's talking about maybe the guy in the cover art, right? Like say I did not tell you the description, or you never heard anything about what the movie is about, what the book is about. You just see it and you click on it to see what your first judgment of it is going to be. It's going to be based off of your cover art and the title, right? So you see Reminders of Him, you see these two people, you assume, okay, him is reminders of this guy in the cover art. Mind you, no, it's not reminders of him. That's the best friend of the dead guy. That is not the main guy. The dead guy isn't even the main guy. He's there for 2 seconds, which I feel like is an issue, but we'll get to that later. Without even clicking on the damn trailer, it's like, it's a little misleading once you've watched the entire trailer and you get a feel of everything. It's like, why are we centering these two people, but the title is Reminders of Him? It doesn't really match. They don't really go together. But again, I don't have any issues with it being a romance, but in conjunction with the title, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think personally, they could have done two things. One, if they wanted to keep it like romance centered, they should have changed the title. It could be based off of Reminders of Him, the book by Colleen Hoover, but I don't think it should be like an exact play-by-play of the book, because Colleen Hoover did many things wrong. And if you want to do those things right, then you can change those things and make it more centered around the two of them, especially the trailer, which I will get to. But change the title. I don't know what they would have changed it to, because Reminders of Him already brings the story back to the dead guy, right? Like, it makes it centered around the dead guy, but it's not centered around the dead guy. It's romance. It's centered around these two. So then center it around these two, you know what I'm saying? You guys could have taken creative liberty with that. And I think that was a big issue. So we start off the trailer. She works at the dollar store, and there's a guy that comes in and he's like buying like a yellow plate and like is like looking at her, and like they're flirting, whatever. They have some chemistry, they have something going on. Then you see like sort of the progression of their relationship, and then them getting closer, whatever. I loved the beginning of this trailer. I absolutely loved it. This is what made me not skip the ad. I always skip ads, especially trailer ads, because half the time they look bad. But I saw this paired up with the song. Guys, the song, it was The Night We Met by Lord Huron. I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. By Lord Huron, The Night We Met. And it was that song choice. And that scene, those scenes at the very beginning of the trailer, it was so beautiful and so captivating. It really made me want to continue watching and figure out, oh my gosh, what is going on? What is going to happen? Because that tone that the song sets already makes you think something bad is going to happen. It makes you feel like unsettled, uneasy. But it also sets the stage. It sets the stage in your head that, this is going to be about her and the relationship with this guy, or the damn dynamic or whatever. Whether it's him alive in the present or not alive, right? You think that it's going to be about her and this guy in some capacity, right? Wrong. So you continue going, and then we see like clips of them. And it was like his birthday, I assume. And during that time, the song choice that they decided to match up with the shots was I Had All and Then Most of You, Some and Now None of You, which to me, this is just like something that's pretty like pedantic. So don't take me on for this. This was my own little thing. Again, that is what really drew me in, because I had like a situation that I really connected to the song, like The Night We Met, especially the line, I had all and then most of you, some and now none of you, because in my head, it's less of a physical loss, especially if you're still having pieces of somebody. It seems more of like mental loss or something that's less tangible, right? Like either it's a breakup, but they're still like alive, or maybe you're just losing them slowly within the relationship that then leads to a breakup. So I just, in my head, like that line, like just didn't work in the context of him dying. But again, that's a small thing. I think the song choice is beautiful, and the beginning part of that was very beautiful. But during those times where we see like the shots of her with him, and then it goes to the shot of her driving and then crashing the car, there's a voiceover where she says, there was before you, there was during you, and then there was after you. This is another small thing. I just felt like when they switched from before and during, the shots that they showed didn't really match up with the like her voiceover with the before and during, because before it was like a little bit, well, when they were talking about before, there was no shot of before, which, okay, like it was just, the shot was during, and it was at his like birthday party or whatever of him blowing out candles. So that was during, that was not before. But again, this is a small thing. It's just, I was just like, it's just a little small thing. So there was no before, and then during, so we can say during was at his birthday party, right? So then that was during. But then they quickly switched from the birthday party shot to her driving and killing him.
There was during you.
And that was said when she was talking about the during you. And babe, that's not during. Like, I feel like when they were saying during, it should have been more shots along with that birthday shot, but more shots of them being happy together in my head. Because then it just talked about during, but he's dead. It's like during you, he's dead. So it's just sort of like a bit of a dissonance in my head. That's how I read it. Again, now looking back after watching the entire trailer, I think focusing on Scotty at the beginning and having such an emotional song and having it being really centered around Scotty and Kenna, and then the entire rest of the trailer is her and fucking Tyreek or Ledger. I hate that name. It really doesn't make sense. Like, I don't think that they should have shown that much of Scotty, or they should have shown more of Scotty, or like it just to me, it just didn't make sense in the context of the trailer. Then I didn't have many issues with the rest of the trailer. Basically, after that, it was just showing her like struggling to like get a job after incarceration. And I think that was really impactful because it can show how people that have like a record are very much judged, and they become like second-class citizens because of that, just because they are charged as a felon. And especially in Kenna's case, she didn't even really do anything that bad, but just because she has that mark of her being a felon and she went to jail and she has a record, now it's incredibly hard for her to get a job and just do all these things. And I think that better connected back to the title, Reminders of Him, because again, I said earlier, I don't think I fleshed it out, so that was my bad, but I said earlier that they could have done two things. One, if it was a romance, they could have focused on that romance piece with Ledger and had a different title, and like sort of took out Scotty in a way, like didn't focus so much on Scotty at the beginning. Or they could have not had it been a romance and had that be like a side thing, and more so focused on the impact that this death had on Kenna. And I think that to me would have been much more powerful, especially like the piece about how hard it was for her to get a job, but also like her trying to get her kid back and having that connection with her kid again when the family of her ex-dead boyfriend didn't want her to have that relationship, and then her having a lot of guilt around like killing her ex-boyfriend and all that trauma, and maybe if she had like PTSD and she was still trying to like work through those emotions and also like navigate throughout the world, but like different things remind her of him still and she's still trying to work through that. I think that would have been so much better to focus on than like having it be just a full-on romance. And I think she still could have had a romance in there, right? I think that would have actually been really perfect if she had a romance while trying to do all of these things. That's just a part of the many things that she has to work through after getting out of prison and after that entirely very traumatic event. They should have went there with the movie, because Colleen Hoover did many things wrong with that fucking book. People are gonna disagree with me. I do want to hear y'all's thoughts. I want to hear like your arguments and opposing arguments that you have. in the comments below, but like I think she did many things wrong with the book. The main thing making it centered around her wanting to fuck her dead boyfriend's best friend. It just, now I'm just gonna get into like little things after like watching the whole trailer. So now the trailer's finished, right? One thing that I didn't like when I was hearing about the book, and one thing that I still don't like with the fucking trailer, is so she meets her dead boyfriend's best friend in a bar, right, that he works at, and the two of them don't know each other. They don't recognize each other, which to me already doesn't make a lot of sense, because what do you mean you don't recognize, for him, let's start with him, what do you mean you don't recognize your best friend's girlfriend? What? Do men not pay attention? And then for her, what do you mean you don't recognize your boyfriend's best friend? You guys never met each other? Okay, that's fine. They never met, that's fine. You've never seen a singular flying picture of him? Okay. All right. The main issue with the trailer is sort of the issue that I had with the book. I saw one comment that said like, it seemed interesting because of the song and whatever, but then you guys kind of lost me, and that's exactly how I felt. That's exactly how I felt before I even knew that it was a book that I had read. I was like, it seemed so interesting because I was like, okay, clearly it's surrounding like her and this guy, but the guy dies. Like, and it's about like her like dealing with that death and the trauma. No, it was just a complete shift to this random black guy who ends up being the best friend. Okay, like before I knew it was Colleen Hoover, I was like, okay, why are we getting with the best friend? Okay, I know he's dead, but it's like there's nobody else in town that you can get with. Nobody else in town. Okay, and then it shifts to like, because the beginning it makes it feel like it's centered around the trauma and the guilt, but then it's like, no, actually no, it's about a romance with the best friend. And so it's just like kind of like a whiplash, because it's like, what is this trailer even about? Which is the romance. If they just wanted to stick with that, they could have done the trailer a lot better. And they could have not had all these random shifts, especially starting it so dramatically with Scotty. Viewers are like, wait, where did Scotty go? Wait, now we're connected to Scotty. But then there's Tyreek. I think that's what got a lot of viewers losing interest, excuse me, along the way. Because it's just, I don't even think the trailer knew how to properly market the movie. And again, I don't know why we keep seeing the same reoccurring issues with Colleen Hoover's pieces of work. Same thing with Ends With Us. The marketing, it was whole hoopla because people got upset with the marketing. I feel like it's going to be the same thing here. Or I can see that it's the same thing here. Again, maybe we'll be back in March and it's going to be a completely different story. But like, girly pop, I don't think so. Anyways, that's enough of my yap. If you made it to the end, thank you. But yeah, that's enough of my yap about this. I literally just saw this and I was like, I literally need to talk about this. This is actually ridiculous. I'll watch the movie in March. Hopefully I remember to watch the movie in March, and we'll see if it's any fucking better. Lord have Christ. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.